Hello, my name is Tim Hoopman. I run a consulting business called Spinn Business Solutions. The core focus of that is to help small business use technology, information in a much more creative and powerful way to run a much more effective business. Over the years, I've worked with many and varied small business. I've had a number of years' experience in offshore outsourcing. If you can work anywhere at any time, you can go about getting the best possible people to work on your team, no matter where they are, in Australia, in the city you work in, or in the world. And I think that was probably the defining change. I'm a big proponent of having the best team possible to deliver the service that you need to your clients in the best possible way. I would like to have a mix of people onshore and offshore because it makes up a very rich and diverse team. And I think in my experience from that, you can then better serve your customer. About 12 months ago, I was referred to a client in the hospitality industry that was expanding in Australia. They were in a position where they weren't really confident with the numbers that they had on their business. So they wanted to change. They needed some better process. They needed a better team behind them. And so their accountant referred them to me. In consultation with the client and with the accountant, we set about looking for a very good option for this hospitality client that could not only help them now, but could help them as they grew and expanded rapidly in Australia. There's a number of key things for me. One of them is that they actually have really good systems and really good processes in place so that they can connect into my business or my customer's business very effectively. One of the other things that was important to the customer was obviously being mindful of costs as they were setting up and growing in Australia. The power of real-time reporting in this day and age is paramount to running a business successfully. Cloud accounting, connected apps, all of that has changed how quickly people want access to accurate and timely information. As we began the relationship with Hammerjack, we weren't sure how much time we needed, how many staff we needed, wasn't really sure. And the client wanted to make sure that they were the best people for their business. I could work well with them, and also that the accountant could. So in this case, we started with their shared service offering. And when I looked around and did an analysis and met the team, I felt in this case that they were the best suited for this particular client. As we expand now, it was time to move in the next stage for this customer. So it had to be a solution that would work now, help them grow, but also didn't rely solely on me. One of the key reasons for using Hammerjack is for the very reason that as the business expands, they can expand to meet the growing needs. Interestingly for me, when I looked at shared services model, one of the other very important aspects of it, there was a team member working every day on the account. And certainly the other thing is that there's a level of review that happens before the work comes back to Australia. Having that level of review and comfort over that is a great benefit in dealing with Hammerjack. Well, as the client's grown, it became very prevalent that we needed dedicated people on this account. By having dedicated people, they really got to understand the business in depth. And then as the business grew, they were able to help with that growth and bring their expertise. In relation to providing bookkeeping services for this client, when it came right down to it, they were very, very wedded to the best outcome, not to where it came from. So they were relying on the accountant, myself as the consultant, to discuss with them the best options. And I think in that case, it was then about making sure that option delivered. If it didn't, I think there's probably big conversations around why isn't it delivering and was offshoring the best option in this case? Could it have been done differently? Then certainly not having a conversation with me about where the bookkeeping's done. They just want to make sure that it's done properly. And that as the business grows and expands, it can stand on its own entirety without me being there to hand hold it, because that's not my job long term. And my job is to set up a system and a process and an outsourcer such as Hammerjack that works for the future. Offshore outsourcing has changed in Australia. 6, 7, 8 years ago, people weren't really talking about it. Some big organisations were doing it, but it's certainly changed. The world has changed, we're much more global, and I think people are starting to think differently about it. I think it all comes down to, is the company that you engage delivering exactly what you want? If the answer to that is yes, then are people worried about where that's coming from? As long as it's coming from reputable organisations in offshore companies that are treating their people right. I chose an organisation after researching them that I believed would deliver in full on time for my client.